And we are back. How is everyone doing? You can see my very not lovely face right now. So there is that. I do now have a dog in my room, so that makes this a little bit more interesting. But we're covering CFO Team Wales now. A series that arguably is very interesting because it's PCS versus VCS, and I like these two regions when they face off. So, as we hence the bit rate for this one, I'm personally, if you can't tell, not prepared just yet, as little doggy is there. We'll go into this view for our draft. Already in 4 bans, and LeBlanc, Viego, Kaiser removed by CFO. Team Wales have removed the Maokai and the Rumble. Last ban, Desire. So this is looking like a literal repeat of Game 2 from the Loud versus PSG series. This does leave open some big picks to Jarvan, to name one. Lee Sin, Rel, also up and available. There's quite a few decent options here. Well, we're yet to see what CFO go to there on the blue side, and they're actually going to go Sedge. Now, I'm surprised they're locking that in first over the likes of a Jarvan or an aggressive jungler. Going into BJ, who we saw yesterday pop off against BDS, going with some aggression. His pool is very good at being scrappy with his opponents, and Wales, they're going to get their hands on the Renekton that did do fairly decent past game 1 for Sparta. Obviously, Adom kind of threw in that series into that Renekton, but hey, neither here nor there for me to comment on that one. As a second ban comes through, or pick comes through for Team Wales, it's going to be the Ahri. Weird sort of draft so far from both teams. Obviously, preface on the Sedge, it's kind of surprising. Well, Sandra is the counter that we've seen most of the season, but with the power of some of these other champs, I wouldn't be surprised if CFO go for the likes of Syndra, or maybe even something else for the mid lane. Instead, they're going to lock in Nah, that we talked about it earlier, an old school counter to to basically Renekton. Also, probably going to go for their support here. Rakan is somehow still up. I do need to preface that as being a very powerful pick. I probably expect Team Wales to lock it in here if they want to go for it for Bai, who does play it. We saw it yesterday. Ori, though, was CFO's last lock-in for the first phase. I like it. You've got some ball carriers, or ball fondlers, I should start calling them, for her team already with Sedge and Nah. So continuing to build up that sort of front line or possible engage options kind of has to be the idea for CFO in the second phase. And with the Lee Sin coming through 14 Wells, you have to feel the support pools will be targeted. In fact, it's both ADC and bot laners up for either team going into the second rotation. You don't see that very often, to be honest. As I knock my webcam off my computer, you get a nice view of the back of my monitor. There you go. Hi. There you go. I think I'm a little low. There, that's better. But hey. Bans coming through, Blitzcrank removed from Chelsea. He did do very well with that pick yesterday, or day before, I forget what day they played. But he played well and predicted movement. Rakan finally going to be removed from the board. Nautilus also removed. And champions that you'd expect to have high deaths are removed from the pool. Obviously, we did just quickly have a look at our pick'ems, and I'm still none the wiser as to what champion is the highest deaths at Worlds so far. If you are watching and you know that, let me know. That would be greatly appreciated. But pick phase numero 3 sees Alistar coming through 14 Wells. The response for CFO somehow is the Rel. How this has made its way this far through draft is beyond amazing. Yeah, it has to come through. There was no, like, bait with that pick. It has to be the option. Now you look at ADCs, and that would be aggressive. I'd like it. However, I think Team Wells' response may be the Senna. All things considered. Just, you try to avoid the early game aggression from the Kalista. I mean, Samira is an option if you want to go aggressive into it. You've also got the Aphelios there. Armus could play Ezreal. I think Ezreal would do fine here. That would be aggressive, but not what we are going to see. Bait coming out from Bai as Aphelios gets locked in. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, understandable. The issue with the CFO draft that Wales have to deal with is it's not very easy to burst out. It's certainly a very defensive lineup with aggression sprinkled in. As for Wales, it's a similar story with a lot of sustain. Top side, you've got the Renekton who can call an meat keel. Probably go for Gordrinker as his item. So he's got a bit more there. He may end up going Strybreaker. I think Strybreaker actually would be the more beneficial this game. Solely as if you get onto the Ori and the Kalista, you can just slow down their movements a lot more. I think that would be the beneficial route for him. As for the rest of the team, you got Lee Sin. If I'm correct, this is only for this tournament, but SOFM is a mentor for Team Wales. So that Lee Sin may even go for that tanky support build that SOFM made famous during the Suning run to the finals. Yeah, that's a flashback and a half, because that squad was stacked with some big names like Sword Art, like SOFM, making their names known on the international stage. And here we go. A big first game of this series. The marker, the one that sets the tone for the rest of the games that we're going to see here. And the starts couldn't be any more different. There we go. That's a bit better for me. Fans out. It's a weird sort of positioning game early. As we've got Kalista just shadowing. You've got Rel roaming into the mid lane to either go for a play with the rest of the team, ends up pathing back down to support Kalista. It's awkward, to say the least, for how they've set up the Rift. The issue for Team Wales is the Raptor start is going to be known, and I'm pretty sure Wales will assume it's a red buff start, considering the CFO bot lane is delayed to lane. And what do you know? The clear, while spotted, isn't going to be fully known. The fact that we are seeing BJ skip red buff, goes to Krugs, he could honestly make an early play onto that top lane. Now, bot side, decent trade coming out from CFO. Chunking the Alistar early on is very good. they also will always have a lot more early aggression with the Kalista. The fact that she does have that passive sidestep in her kit as she leaps every auto will mean it's kind of hard for the Alistar to get a pulverize onto her, and it's also quite hard for the Aphelios to land his green Qs now that he is level 2. So, as a whole, CFO will have a lot of early aggression in the spot lane and a lot of control, and with it, it does allow for Gemini to step forward into this bottom quadrant. He's going to try to steal away this red buff. In fact, he does do so with a bit of protection from Chelsea, who was spotted on that room due to that ward in the brush. Now, Wales, well, yeah, they've lost pressure in the bot side. They are actually looking to make a counterplay due to the fact that Glory has got early push in mid. There's top lane push and pressure coming out from Sparta. Basically, Gemini is unable to go buff to buff. So he's just going to take his wolf camp, give up on this blue, and just... Actually, he almost got there to steal it. But the fact is, while BJ lost his own, he is able to basically maintain an even footing against his opponent. Bear in mind, Sedge will have a slower clear rate than the Lee, who is able to pick up a Scuttle Crab into his Raptors. He's on a very efficient path, actually. And he is going to end his clear now. Cover mid as Glory goes for a reset. Isn't going to be needed. And instead, because he knows that the Sedge was top half, he just goes to the bottom side, secures for himself the Scuttle, and in fact, he isn't going to actually do that. He is going to do that, but he also makes it in time for the spot play. Well, yes, by chunk very low, forced to flash. It isn't going to be a kill, as top side, Sparta trading quite aggressively into rest. Mega now comes through, so it does stop the continued aggression coming out from the Renekton. As such, you kind of have to feel backs will come through in the next few minutes for the top laners, because they are still waiting for their first back, because Artemis forced to flash early. Buy is for then the new target gets absolutely deleted from the rift by Shun, who gets first blood for CFO. Nice play overall from Team Wales as BJ spotted here. His presence is known. He is just going to help force the wave in, which does free up Artemis to go towards this Drake or even get a nice reset. I think that's the more beneficial of the two things he can go for. Now, Team Wales, well, yes, arguably are behind here. 300 gold, 400 gold to be exact. I'm just waiting for this Drake to see if it gets stolen. It is doing a lot of damage to BJ, who is tanking it up. Gemini forced out the pit once Bai comes in, and Drake gets secured by the Lee Sin. BJ happy to take that advantage, as well as keep his CS lead. That's the big important thing here for that jungle matchup, is how much of a lead can BJ generate off of just CS. As this play is very telegraphed. Essentially, Alistar was always going to try to knock back the Rel, and she went on to the Aphelios, but because that was known, it's a great play from Chelsea to redirect his aggression onto Bai. That stuns him up and allows the Kalista to get the kill. Now, interestingly enough, I would have thought we would have seen a cull come through Fortune. Because bot lane, he should always be farming up for an advantage. He is in a very strong position as BJ's roam gets spotted. Isn't able to go for a play onto the CFO bot lane we are talking about. Now, as we start to head towards 10 minutes, get very close to be fair, teams should be starting to look for their backs here. Rift Herald gonna be up in literally 10 seconds. Resets are coming through from the Team Wales bot lane. Does appear like they're gonna give up a lot of pressure, whereas CFO keeping their bot lane in the lane. They're looking to get one final crash of the minions. And that's very good for them. It means that they'll possibly get turret plates. There's the reset, but already in the pit is BJ, and his bot lane have already roamed. This has put CFO in a bit of a weird position, because they're now having to roam their bot lane up without a reset. And so they're quite far behind this sort of advantage. But it doesn't really matter as Gemini just steals away the objective. Rel, taken low, face cool, pulls her back to safety. CFO get everything, even if it does look like a dire situation. Now, I've just realized my camera is in the wrong spot. Yay. That would have been useful to have noticed earlier. But hey, it is what it is. We'll fix it. And you won't even notice things, because we don't really talk about the item diffs, because there isn't much. Game is still fairly close. 500 gold is the difference. It has grown a little bit, but like in terms of full items, there's not really any difference at this stage of the game. Both sets of teams happily building their first item. Components are all that we see. When this Rift Herald gets dropped, maybe first items will come through. Only time will tell, as again, game just is in a sort of low point. We thought it'd be maybe a bit more aggression out the bot lane of CFO. Granted, no fault to their own, because they have been trying. It is, however, just a slow moving game, and that personally does favour Team Wales a little bit more. The fact that Renekton, if he gets to 3 items, will have the ability to just heal his way through the opponents very easily, not have to really deal with what CFO throw at him. As let's be honest, the only AD damage that CFO have is on the Gnar and on the Kalista. Gnar isn't known for being that heavy indexing in AD, as he's just getting chased down. Sparta could have overstepped here. Does have a fully stacked up Q ready to be used to get a decent chunk of healing. While that was happening, mid lane, the Herald is dropped and Lee Sin is caught, killed, and collected by Himinen. He is able to secure that kill with the shockwave. And BJ gives over a kill, gives over this Hex Drake. And you know, now CFO, stop the scaling, stop that sort of aggression that Team Wales want to get. And as this game goes on, mid, Glory doing work, forcing Iminen off the mid lane, and now he's actually going to get hit up by the Sedge, but this won't really result in much, as Face Call used by the Kalista is in a difficult situation now. Got to play with a bit more respect, as Lee Sin has pathed his way to the bot lane. dive is a possibility, and it is known about by CFO as Lee Sin finds the Sedge in the jungle. The flash headbutt pulverized combo comes out from Bai, and in the end, Glory receives some glory as he gets a kill onto the enemy jungler. So, looking at it again, this is from mid lane play. Herald's dropped. They just want to use it before it times out. Bit of a bad path from BJ, all things considered. He sees the Herald's dropping, so he knows that CFO are in the area. So, very greedy, all things considered. Good charm there from Glory to deny any escape, as that safeguard from Lee Sin certainly was a safeguard, as it kept Artemis alive. He would have probably have fell there, as CFO could have honestly launched Rel in with the face call. Will not do so. And instead, Artemis gets to go back to base. He stays alive. Isn't able to pick up his first item. His mythic still waiting to go. In fact, only a few mythics are out on the Rift right now, as Lee Sin has one, so does the Ahri, so does the Orianna. So the lanes are sitting in a fairly decent position, all things considered. 6 plates though went over to Team Wales out of all of this. Even though CFO were the ones to secure the Herald, they didn't use it to much of an advantage. And you can kind of see why the top and the mid lane receiving so much gold right now. And looking at how low the spot lane tier 1 is, you would have thought that the fellows would have some semblance of a lead. However, getting a kill onto the Callista, allowing her to also do a bit of work onto the tower on the bot side, does mean that there is an advantage to Shun in the bot lane. Granted, 400 gold is very meager compared to other roles, as Rel catches out the Alistar, forced to ultimate. Felios becomes the target as the face call locks him up in the air. Shun secures a kill onto his opposite number, and he gets the double kill as down goes Bai. Now CFO in a weird position as Lee Sin goes aggressive. CFO forced to disengage even though they have got the numbers. Turn towards this Herald, and they also turn towards this Renekton, who gets the stacked spears in his back, and Gemini secures the kill for his team, even though he really didn't need to. This is just good play coming out from the Rel. Just hiding in the fog, waiting for a target to walk up. Then they just turn their attention to the Aphelios, because there's no real option for peel from Team Wales, so just the damage gets thrown out, the lockup gets thrown out, and Artemis gets thrown back to the base. Now, interestingly enough, as that all was happening, in the bottom half of the map, Glory pushing in that wave, getting the first tier 1 of the game. This game does feel fairly even. It's slow, it's calculated, and personally I think that we might honestly see the game revolve a lot more heavily around Drakes. They feel like the win con at this stage, even though it is Cloud Soul, which does suck, by the way. It's always been one of the weakest Drakes in the game, and they've not really found a way to make it relevant, and that's kind of unfortunate for it. So, here we go once again. CFO drop Herald in the mid lane, They're not going to be able to get a pick like before. In fact, the Phelios and Alistar combo will be able to kill that before it gets its second charge. Mid lane tier 1 is going to fall, which does open up opportunities for CFO into the river and into the enemy jungle. Not going to warrant in a play just yet, however. As back onto the map is BJ stepping forward, getting some semblance of control for Team Wales in his quadrant of the map. Now, what I will say is, Team Wales do need to, they do need to do something. Because letting CFO continue to objective stall the game out is not the most ideal. You kind of are lucky that you got the first Drake, because otherwise the Flying Oysters would be on Soul Point. However, that has not happened, and they are currently sitting only on 2 Drakes. Now, what I will say is, first items are picked up across the board. Sep supports, obviously. Kraken Slayer for the Phelios versus Blade of Ruin King for the Callista. Already building up her second item in the Rage Knife. Going for the Rage Blade full completion. Name of the game, honestly. Very, very strong combo for Callista to go for that. I'd expect Hurricane in that build eventually, but only time will tell as to how Shun plays his Callista. I'm not entirely sure, as that's a rel caught out in a bad situation as 4 members of Team Wales dive head first. But guess what? That Callista has ulti, and she pulls him to safety. In the top half of the fight, Nah just trading with Glory. Keep wanting to call him Ovi. And what do you know? 20 minutes basically on the clock. It's about a 1.5k gold lead for CFO. And it doesn't feel like they've had to do much to get a little lead. It doesn't feel like much has really happened in this game for that even to be this big of a lead. But it is what it is. And right now, you have to feel objectives are going to come, and we're just going to see, hopefully, a team fight. That just is where we need to see a fight, is for an objective. With how things are going, I feel it could go either way when something breaks out. And we need to realistically understand, A, why it breaks out, and B, why it went in so-and-so's favor. Now, already, CFO played aggressive with their positions inside the enemy jungle, forcing them to bait brush to do work, as the Sedgel is going to tag onto Just Lee and Moonlight Vigil file out. A lot of Chakram stacks have been picked up by the Phelios. He would have absolutely shredded their health bar if they stayed. But he plays it smart, he backs away, and CFO get to fight another day. Can you tell I'm tired tonight? Oh boy. It's very noticeable. As Ori not going to be caught out just yet. As CFO stealing again. This blue buff, they want it for themselves. They've secured it for themselves. Also securing mid wave for Shun. and turning their attention to the Drake. Soul Point is what they're after here, and considering the position of Lee Sin, there will be zero contest. Instead, he's just going to take away the blue buff from his opponent, because they've both been really taking each other's blue buffs, as neither of them, I don't think, bar maybe one, have gotten the one in their own jungle. It's always been on the other side of the map, stealing it away. Now, of note, 2 items have been picked up in this game for the bot laners as Gale Force. Kind of a surprise to see for the Kaiser. You don't necessarily relate that item to Kaiser either. It's usually a Rageblade, i.e. Trinity Force more so. Like route, but hey. Who cares, am I right? It's just a game. So. Will we see a fight soon? It's certainly looking like one. The positioning out from Team Wales hints for one. Nah, in the bot side map, nowhere near timing out. Wales need to push their advantage now while the kettle is still hot. Instead, they're going to allow the Mega Gnar to dissipate. That should be the go time for Team Wales. Going aggressive. The Magnet Storm combination comes out from the Rel, locking up the target, but it is going to be Lee Sin who just jumps back to safety. Instead, he jumps headfirst into the backline, gets the kick, and kills off the Kalista. Aphelios does wonders in terms of this damage as Glory just dashing around, trying to root the targets, trying to catch them out. But in the end, it's a trade of the jungler for the ADC, and CFO are left in tatters as this mid lane tier 1 will fall in favor of Team Wales. When we get a replay, focus in on my man BJ. He gets the target that everyone is thinking can just jump away to safety. Now, obviously, disengage comes through from CFO thinking, hey, we can burst out the jungle, then could possibly face off on the Baron. This kick puts the Kalista in the face of the Renekton, who slices the health bar down, who stuns her in place, allowing for Artemis to just kill them off. Now, coming back into live, Baron becomes the main focus for both teams. And with how close this game has been, it really makes you think that the next fight will either A, determine the winner, or B, just be an absolute bloodbath on the Rift. Ahri on the flank gets caught out, rooted down by the Rel, and it's a shutdown as Chakram stacks have been gathered by the Moonlight Vigil, now by forced to die as he is run down, rendered by the Kalista. But look how far the Rel has gone, getting caught out. What a combo that Shockwave is! Just deletes the health bars of Team Wales as CFO get the kills and get to turn towards the Baron. Big play coming out from the PCS second tier squad. Just getting onto this Baron now. What a wombo combo. Great play overall. It looked like a bit of a fumble with how aggressive Chelsea was, but it looked amazing once the rest of it came through. Please give me a replay of that fight as the Baron is secured for CFO. Definitely one for the ages. As we watch it again, Glory gets caught on flank. He goes forward and is hit by the Magnet Storm. He is basically dead due to one route, and the Kalista does it. Alistar burns ult. He then is chased down by Shun. And then on top half, Rel looks to have gone way too far and gets bursted out. Shockwave on 3 members as well as the Gnar on 3 just roots and kills the targets that need to die. It's a great combo and something that just defines peak League of Legends. When a combo like this pays off, it pays off hard, and boy, CFO are using that advantage, getting themselves as tier 2 in the bot lane. Obviously, using this Baron that they secured off the back of the play as well. This, you have to feel, is getting to a very difficult spot for Team Wales to play out of. Now, interestingly enough, the last fight that Team Wales won was based off of a kick onto Shun. With the inventory this ADC has got right now, with the stopwatch there, he's looking to avoid it as best possible. Just go status, avoid the kick as it's thrown out. He's also almost towards his death cap. He's in very, very strong position. Once that death cap comes through, the amount of burst, the amount of potential this champion has is certainly through the roof. And Wacko needs to be able to... Wacko's not in this game. What am I on about? Basically, Rest needs to be able to deal with it. He needs to be able to go in and get all the targets stunned up to then allow this full combination to be fruitful. As Wales forcing the tower, Alistar headbutt pulverize is not going to land. Instead, the Magnet Storm comes through. It's going to be a trade 1-for-1 as both mid laners fall. Now, the kick comes through. They land it onto the Kalista, but the Mega Gnar ulti hits onto 4. It does work as Team Wales somehow finding a way back into this fight. The Renekton taken low, but Rest is on a rampage, and he is looking for more. The Renekton dies, the Aphelios dies, and the base of CFO survives. Team Wales won't do, as they are losing game number 1. Big, big fight out of the little Gnar. Overall, a big brawl that results in game 1 of this series going to the PCS squad. That game was weird. It was slow, it was methodical, until it just exploded out of 2 fights. Literally, that last fight that we saw there, and then the Ahri getting caught out fight, just led to Baron into push into game. There's no easier way to describe how it happened than that. And game 2, we know, goes towards our good faithful team in Team Wales. How does game 3 land? That is what we're here to find out, ladies and gentlemen. Or people, whatever you want to identify yourself as. We're going to look at game 3. Team Wales win it. We need to talk draft and the big changes from game 2. We'll look at game 2 in terms of the draft and how it played out. So, we'll look at the summary. Look at the bans from game 1, game 2. There's a bit of a difference. Not. Maokai Rumble, stay banned. Sedge gets removed. That first pick Sedge that I had zero faith in is removed by Team Wales. They clearly didn't like playing against it, because that ultimate is annoying. It stops you from doing what you want to do. And I mean, in not this series, but the one we broke down earlier, the Sedge wasn't that good, so you didn't really have to ban it. Here, I understand why. It was very prevalent with how the stun was used, and really didn't allow the picks that Team Wales hand to reach the backline and do work in destroying them. Now, game 2, we saw the change up, that being removed. We then saw the Ori and Syndra removed, so double AP bans came through in that second rotation, meaning Ori not an option. It puts the Ahri into the hands of the Flying Oysters. Mid laner against a Nico. That is a combination that I like to see. Jarvan and Nico comboed together with a Rakan. It's just clinical and a very strong combination of champions in the meta right now. As for the Flying Oysters, Blitz comes through, something that they've pivoted towards for Chelsea. He's done well on it, but clearly didn't end that way. And yeah, we'll look at this game personally. Look at the KDAs. Top and support were bullied out. It's a steady goal graph, to be honest, of a snowball-ish or snowball-esque type game. Top lane damage is huge. Cassante doing Cassante things, basically. Mid was a bit of a diffie. Nico not able to match the damage that Jimmian can do. Wow. It looks like the Flying Oysters were quite close with their opponent. However, it just got out of control. And they didn't really have any control of objectives. That was maintained by Team Wales throughout it all. And this Jarvan looks threatening. It looks like a pick that should really be denied. As we head into Game 3, this is the last game we're going to look at. A team fight from it, discuss it, and it's a roller coaster. I think we need to look at 31 minutes for when Team Wales took an advantage. We've got quite an interesting set of champs, especially that build for Artemis. I personally would have preferred the AP build a little bit more, solely so then you can have double AD and double AP comp champs. It would just made a bit more sense to me. I don't know, but instead, I guess because of the fact that Aatrox and Jarvan both went tanky, it meant the AD build made sense in this scenario. But that's me picking away at something that could be considered nitpicky. Other side, yikes. It was looking quite kill hungry. It was very close in terms of KDAs. But again, the fact that the gold swung at 31 minutes kind of signifies that something big must have happened. Let's have a look at the 31 minute mark. Just want to get the exact timeline or time frame for what appears to be the game turning on its head. 31 minutes onwards. It's probably a fight, all things considered. Yeah, this looks extended. So 31:11's when the kill come through. We'll look at past then. Can't see the timer. 24, so 5 minutes. Here we go. This'll do. So Baron is on the table. Kind of have to expect the teams to go for it. CFO have control of the area. In fact, they have the gold lead right now. A decent one, to be exact. Kaiser throwing out W's, trying to poke and control area herself. Trying to target champs. Rest on a flank. as Artemis goes to push mid. Rel steps a bit too far forward, but it's the engage forcing the Featherstorm. Cataclysm comes through looking to get onto Viego, as here comes Team Wells targeting out Rest. That Renekton's unable to do anything. Killer Instinct comes through, but the flag and drag locks him up. Sparta is able to kill off his opponent in the lane. Rel becomes the next target as Glory gets that. That Emperor's Divide will not kill anyone, and in the end, a very good flag and drag combo from the Jarvan gets him to safety, and he's got the shield coming out from the Ori that kept him alive even longer. He's baiting. He's trying to get the Vi to come into this Orianna, who's trying to back. There's the damage coming out from the Q. The orb is doing work, and the flag and drag is just doing work on its own. The flag doing wonders. The engage comes through. The Jarvan taking low, but he has a Gore Drinker. He's got red buff healing. He is surviving. Not enough, as he just buys time, denies the back from his opponent, and Rel once again will fall. This Xayah dying under tower gets hit by the shockwave and falls as well. This is Team Wales getting an inhibitor, getting kills on the exit, and now in a situation where they can go towards the Baron. They could go towards the Drake, as this play was just turning onto the right targets. They get the Featherstorm out, and when they step forward into the river, this allows Rest to roam down. Shite, I dropped my drink. But when Rest comes down here, he gets spotted out by the ward. So now Team Wales, they turn their attention to him once again. Over the wall, onto him, because he stepped way too far forward. Like, he knows that they see him. So why stay? Like, you've even dropped a blue trinket to see that they're there. And yeah, they just jump immediately onto you. You get chunked quite low. And it's just a continuation of damage. The Killer Instinct comes through. He's also sped up there by the Ori orb down that. So you see and know that they're going to continue to chase onto the Renekton. So they kill him off. Rel also falls. That Emperor's Divide, it looks good. But because Binjay gets a very, what I would call, buffered flag and drag combo, it secures a kill onto Chimian. I still don't know how to pronounce that name. And then CFO are in a situation where you leave the Jarvan and Ori there to deny backs, and then they just go for the base. They get the inhib, they get the push onto these Nexus towers, and that is technically dead. Team Wales have control of the game finally. And so, CFO, who are sitting on Soul Point, now are in a weird situation where Baron was secured by Team Wales as they actually catch out the target they need. That Renekton bullied out once again, jumped on with the Cataclysm. That Emperor's Divide hits onto 4. They're getting kills here, our CFO, double kill to be exact. But the trade comes through. This Aatrox is still alive. He's able to use his Qs to his advantage. Gets himself another kill. It's somehow a 4-for-2 wipe. The Baron gonna fall away from Team Wales. And the base. They're looking for the base. The back is denied. The Aatrox is surviving. He's sustaining. He's trying to kill the Vi, who's stopping his back. He somehow gets to a position where he can get it, but it is denied once again. But now he gets the kill. He gets to stop the Vi. Gemini does enough to keep Aatrox busy. But the thing is, the death squad of CFO are hunting. They're returning back. They want to get this mountain soul. TP came through once again from Sparta. He's still here. He sees the low health Vi. He's forced to ult already. Salt and Battery comes through from the Vi. He's going aggressive, but the target is Desire as the flag and drag secures the kill. BJ then is sacrificed off. No jungler available for Team Wales, but it is still a 4v4. ADC down for jungler somehow still favors CFO due to that smite being readily available. This game, it's gone into mass panic from controlled aggression from CFO into absolute madness, as that is the depth charge used onto Ysir, forced out of the fight, who gets dove on. The Emperor's Divide is not enough to keep him alive as the Kaiser gets a kill, and that is so many kills going over to CFO as they get the ace and head towards the base of the Oysters. They're going to win Game 3 in this series. TP comes through from Glory, the base, the Nexus towers to be exact are the targets. Sparta, he can tank this up if he needs to, goes aggressive. The Rel forced to crash down, forced to go in and die. Now Shun chunked by this Orianna, just is a menace. Nautilus will fall in the end, but that hook forces a Featherstorm flash out. Damage being done, but Shun goes into status. The GA is popped, and the Nexus falls on top of it as the ace finally is rewarded to Team Wales. Game 3 ends in VCS victory. What a series. What a game, to be honest. This looked very interesting. It went long. Game 3s or final games in series tend to go long. And it looked ideal for CFO until it wasn't. The targeting out by Team Wales in that fight killed a Renekton before he can sustain, before he can just be a menace on the backline, was huge. The fact that CFO weren't in a position to initially get the return pick was huge. The buffers coming out in that fight as well just meant that Team Wales ended the fight in an advantage. They got the inhibs. They then ended with the Baron to get some more pressure on the map. Granted, it wasn't really used as they threw it away, but CFO weren't able to slow the chaos. The chaos just ensued, and that scramble was not something they were capable of dealing with, and the fact that it was thrown into complete madness just meant Team Wales were able to do work, do what was needed to get the win. And that sort of style that we've seen from them has caused issues. And I think going into their next series, which will be against the winner, presumably, of Loud or CFO's games against the winner of tomorrow's games. But hey, only time will tell as to who gets there. Actually, maybe it is just PSG versus Team Wales. That'd be an interesting thing. Not entirely sure though. Let me just check the standings for play-ins. So upper bracket round 2. There's nothing on here for upper bracket round 3. Which leads me to believe PSG and CFO play the winner of this series. Yeah, they're in separate brackets. Yeah, so essentially, the winner of this series faces the Team Wales. The winner of this series faces Team PSG. So it's a separate bracket. That makes sense, to be honest. Anyway, that's it for tonight. It was a later one. Thanks for joining me. Hope you've enjoyed the breakdowns, the screaming that I've done. It's been fun. I'll see you guys tomorrow once again. A little earlier as well. That's something beneficial. But we do have more games to break down. Movistar R7 and GAM looks to be a GAM favored matchup. And then this one should be BDS favored, though maybe not. Only time will tell. I'll see you guys then for